throughout years, I've been contacted you since you've been in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I've contacted you multiple times, and each time, I have seen that you either did not have enough data, or either you had 4G but a very shitty version of it.
Okay.
And I'm talking about around 2014. Okay,
Okay.
and then it's been how many years? 5 years, 6 years.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you still have shitty internet.
Okay. That is completely untrue. First of all.
We tested the internet speeds, what, two
Mm-hmm.
weeks 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How much did you get?
I don't remember. I think it was like 30, 35 MB.
And
Even though
you pay for 100,
I pay for 100.
and
So
you live
that
in
was
downtown.
a downer. But see, as far as 2014-15 is concerned and limited data is concerned, my justification is I was an extremely broke student.
No,
So
that's
I
the
was
problem.
very
That's what I'm
conserving my
talking
data.
about. So I'm talking about, so for example, here in Australia, even if you
Mm-hmm.
were broke,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think data is that expensive. So for $28, if you're getting 100 GB,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that that's
See,
my problem with the Canadian internet. Why is it so expensive? What's the
yeah,
problem there?
see, that's crazy talk. $28 for 100 gigs of data. Like
See, I can.
not even the smallest of the small company would offer you that. You know what you get in okay. If you pay $25 in Canada, you know what you're gonna get? You're gonna get a prepaid plan on which you have 100 MBs of data
See,
and 300 minutes of talk time. That's Canadian minimum plan.
we don't even
It's
have
not even
100 MB
postpaid.
anymore. Like
Yeah.
our minimum is 1 GB and starts from there, and it just goes
You
like to
know,
unlimited if you want to.
you know what's crazy? I can subscribe for a French plan in France, and it would still give me more data on roaming, and it'll be cheaper. Hello and welcome back, guys. We hope you guys are doing great. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, do check out our previous episodes where we talk about all sorts of different stuff that has been happening in tech this year. And for those of you who have been watching us regularly, you might have noticed that we haven't made a video in a while. We were caught up with some stuff, so we thought what we'll do for this episode is something different. So we'll be releasing this episode in two different parts, as a lot of stuff has happened in the past couple of weeks. So we'll be going over some of the most important ones, stuff like LG phones and whatnot. So we'll be releasing it in two different episodes. So let's just dive right into it. LG decided to quit phone industry.
Yeah, it's been a big news, isn't it? LG has been there for a long time
Hmm.
and has some beautiful phones. Have you ever owned an LG phone?
Yes, I did actually. It was not LG phone. It was made by LG Nexus. So the Nexus that I owned was made by
Yeah,
LG.
yeah,
So
definitely. That was the
I've
time
had
when
used
it.
it, and I really enjoyed it. Really,
Yeah,
really enjoyed that phone.
yeah. Nexus, you would say you would enjoy only because of Google software and stuff. But like
Mhm.
design-wise, hardware design, how did you find that LG Nexus? Did you find
No,
it
honestly, it was for
in
me. It was
for that time? Yeah, whatever
for
that
the
time
time.
was.
It
Yeah,
was a very well designed phone. Like even the overall optimization of Nexus
yeah,
was very good because I know previously Motorola was doing it at the time when I got it,
yeah.
and LG had just come into the role of developing Nexus. So I found it really useful. I haven't
Yeah,
used any pure LG brand like LG flagship phones, but yeah, Nexus was amazing.
I
My
think the
experience
only
with that.
phone that I have used by LG was LG G3.
Mhm.
And I used to love the design. I used to love the metallic design of it. I don't know what happened with G4. They came back to leather again.
Yes.
It was the back of it, but yeah, a very enjoyable phone. But the thing is that LG was supposed to come with a rollable phone this year.
Hmm.
Okay, and that has been scrapped now because of the whole global
Right.
chip shortage that has been going on and stopping
Hmm.
everything. Um, LG has stated that they will now concentrate on electric vehicles, components, robotics, artificial intelligence rather than smartphone business.
Hmm.
There would There's also news that LG might be sourcing OLED panels to Samsung for their new TVs.
Okay, I did not hear
So
about that one.
yeah, so it's quite interesting. LG is now into a lot of different stuff, but then there will be obviously some market share that would be left by LG, and I
Hmm.
think with the likes of Xiaomi and Oppo, they would be the one filling the whole market gap because back in 2013, LG was one of the top smartphone makers,
Yep.
and since Xiaomi and all came, it has actually been thrown out, and they've
Yeah,
become
it
the
was a
top.
bunch of different things. You mentioned G3.
Yeah,
Coincidentally, G3 was their best selling phone ever.
yeah, yeah.
So G3, I think in 20, if I'm not wrong, in 2014, G3 sold around 10 million units, which is the highest number LG has ever touched for smartphones.
Mhm.
So that was an amazing thing. And then, of course, all these Chinese brands came in, Vivo, Xiaomi, and all these brands. And then, of course, 2016, Google Pixel came in. So a major North American player came into it and started eating into a lot of Android market share. And
Yeah,
because obviously Google had, by the time, developed some sort of reputation with the Nexus phones, and obviously this was the first Google-made phone, it also made a big impact.
yeah. So in the end, one of the things about LG was it was an innovative company.
100% it was.
Okay, and phones like LG V40 was one of the first phones that brought in the whole ultra wide lens, which is now very famous amongst all other phones.
Mhm,
So they were the
exactly.
first one to bring it, and then after that, you have phones like LG Wing and stuff, which they have tried new things. The biggest problem here is that we have experimental phones coming out by Xiaomi and all that,
Hmm.
but losing one of the competitors is just bad because all the
Oh,
phones currently in the top
absolutely.
competition are slabs of bricks. They bought something new to the market. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. And anytime that happens in any market, when you have a top level player leaving, it automatically like it makes the other players a bit easier, like a bit complacent. It's like when you have other players performing at best of their game, it keeps everybody on the edge to make sure they present the best thing possible. So
Yeah.
a big player like LG going out is not a good thing. So I was watching this video by Marcus Brownlee,
Yeah.
and he started his LG video by this quote from Batman that you either die as a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
Yeah.
And LG died a hero. But you're absolutely right. LG have done a bunch of different things over the years,
Hmm.
which has had significant impact on the way we use phones now. So you mentioned what wide angle is one of them.
Cameras. Yep.
Uh, Capacitive touch. LG was the first one to introduce that.
Oh, cool.
The
Yeah.
double tap that we do nowadays. So, for example, when your phone is sitting on the desk and you just want to check the time, you double tap on it.
Yeah.
It was called the doorknob thing, which was first introduced by LG.
Mm-hmm.
So they're filled with examples like that. They were the first one to come up with double rear cameras. Before that, all the phones only used to have one single rear camera.
Yep.
So they've done a bunch of different stuff, and they also came out with. They were also the first company to come out with multiple screens, which we'll talk about it later. Xiaomi also tried to copy, but not in the way that I like it. But yes,
But
they have done.
Xiaomi does experiment with a lot of stuff. We have two
Mhm.
new launches recently. We have
Yes.
OnePlus 9 that came out.
Hmm.
Now, OnePlus 9 came out with 3 to 4 models, but I was only interested in the Pro model,
The
mainly
flagship one, yes.
because I'm into bigger screens, so obviously.
Hmm.
Now, one of the things about this OnePlus 9 Pro is that it has a new partnership with Hasselblad.
Hmm.
Just so everyone knows, it does not mean it is using the cameras by Hasselblad.
Okay, so
The
then what does the
camera,
partnership mean exactly?
so the cameras are by Sony. Okay, the
Mhm.
sensors are by Sony. The partnership is based on the color calibration of the photos. For
Okay.
years, OnePlus has been lacking proper photography. What do you call this? Color calibration.
Hmm.
Get closer to competition of Samsung and iPhone.
Hmm.
But with this Hasselblad partnership and the color calibration that it will receive from that company, it will be closer to iPhone photos rather than Samsung photos. The difference is that Samsung photos are usually oversaturated.
Hmm. And just explain oversaturation quickly. What do you mean by oversaturation?
More darker colors. So a red rose is very, very reddish, something of that sort.
So it takes away a bit of natural look of it.
Yeah,
That's what you mean,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So this was one of the things that is pretty noticeable, and obviously, I like the new silence rocker. You
Hmm.
know, the one that iPhone has.
Which is the funny thing is, I don't know why it took them so long, or any phone vendor. Why did it take them so long to come out with something like this? It's a very useful feature.
And a very simple one at that.
Exactly. Like I also own an iPhone
Hmm.
for work reasons, and it's very, very simple. Like whenever I've turned to silent, I do not have to look at my screen. Just click and it's done.
Exactly. I have no. I mean, like, I like they at least went for it.
Hmm.
You know, it's quite interesting for a company to go for it. But apart from these two features, I would
Hmm.
say most of the top tier Android phones, for example, Galaxy S21, which came out
Hmm.
earlier this year, the ultra version of it, have
Hmm.
similar features in terms of the screens, the design, and everything else. In terms of
Hmm.
cameras, also, when they
Right.
say 100 multiply zoom or 120 multiply zoom, it's not necessarily that. And you
Exactly.
have that a monochrome
I was gonna
sensor.
get to that. So they have a dedicated. It's not an extra feature. It's a dedicated extra camera at the back with 2 megapixels.
So yeah, that this is what I'm talking about. Because they have to compete with iPhone and Samsung, and because both
Right.
of these companies have taken out phones that are just, you know, just same every year, I think. So they
Hmm.
have to compete with something really different. So every time, so that's OnePlus, and then we have Xiaomi on the other hand coming out with Xiaomi 11 Ultra,
Yeah.
and you've got the small screen behind.
Yes.
Now, one of the things about this screen is like Xiaomi uses this screen, it's the same screen it uses in its wristbands, the
Hmm.
Fitbit kind of one. So it's
Hmm.
exactly the same screen. It's the OLED screen. It's really good actually, but
Hmm. Okay.
again,
So because obviously your phone usage is, and I think we talked about it one day. I use my phone 3 hours a day versus 8, right? So
yeah.
as someone who uses it for significantly longer amount of time, what do you think of that feature? And you take way more photos than I do. So.
See, I'm one of the things that I miss about my Samsung phones is that, and this is not now,
Mm,
Samsung phones before S10, before the cutout
mm,
hole, whenever that came out,
punch hole.
punch hole, yeah, before the
Yeah,
punch hole came out, one of the features was that it used to have this LED light. I think A series still have it. I'm not sure. Do they?
I don't think so. I have A51. I don't think it has it.
So it used to have this LED light. We used to give the
Mm.
notification like, okay, got a
Yes, I
notification.
remember.
Yeah,
I think
exactly, right.
the first time I saw it was on your phone, the S3 Design for
Yeah, yeah,
Humans
yeah, yeah,
one.
yeah. And I used to
That was the one.
customize it in
I
green, blue,
remember
yellow.
that one.
But yeah, that was a very useful feature. I mean, like without turning on the screen, you
In
got
terms
it
of
right.
notification, it was. It absolutely was. Yeah.
Depending on that, and I've
Hmm.
used Note Edge also, which had the whole sides small curved screen.
Hmm.
This thing is useful in terms of that. I mean, like obviously, how many selfies you take in a day. If we disregard that and look into
Hmm.
the notification perspective of it, I think it might be that useful. But generally, I still think it's a gimmick.
It's a gimmicky thing. You
Yeah,
think
what
is
do you
this
think?
something they would? You think is this something this which they would stick with another year, or they just showed it this year? Next year it's
No,
going to
no,
be out.
I don't think it will be that big of a thing. The only thing I think that would be
Mhm.
sticking around for years would be foldable phones.
Oh, you really think that?
Yeah, because I cannot disagree with the fact that foldable phones will be becoming common and common because you have got every company working on it.
Hmm.
Apple is also working on it,
Reportedly,
reportedly. But then
yes.
again, most of the things with
No,
Apple
no,
are
I know.
reportedly.
Yes.
So why not?
Okay, we might just do one whole podcast on foldable phones one day. But see, for me, this again, it's a good gimmicky feature to gain instant attraction, like not attention, and give the phone the marketing that obviously it needs. It's a good feature for that. But apart from what do you call that? If unless you are one of those people who like to take a lot of selfies,
Or do
I
vlogs, for example.
or that, yeah, I do not see a lot of utility with it. But again,
Yeah,
my phone usage is relatively simple. Like mine is mostly
your
music
you
and
your phone
yes.
usage stuff.
So
We don't even want to discuss about.
I'm not your average consumer because they use it much differently than I do. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I fall more in like 40s and 50s age group users. Like that's what my usage is. I look at my mails, I listen to my music, and that's it. Like
You use
Instagram and
social
that.
media like you're 70, right?
See, yeah, it doesn't serve a lot of purpose for me. People spend a lot of time on TikToks and stuff like that. I don't know. TikTok is a different thing though. Like that is very addictive. I've tried that and it is very addictive. Anything other than that, no. More than 1 or 2 hours a day is just too much for me.
But yeah, the point is that most of the top tier Android phones, okay, for
Hmm.
example, this Xiaomi Android, Xiaomi 11 Ultra, or what do you call this, OnePlus 9 Pro,
Hmm.
or Galaxy S21 Ultra. By the way,
Right.
that's the only phone with the S Pen, and the Note
Okay.
is cancelled. That was reports earlier, but now it's cancelled.
Yeah. You had a
But
very
all of
strong hint
these, yeah, all
at the
of
time.
these top tier Android phones are same. Generally, I
Hmm.
mean, like general specs of it are same. All of them are using Snapdragon 888
Hmm.
uh, by Qualcomm, and all of them have 120 hertz refresh rate of screen. The best thing about OnePlus and Xiaomi is that they have the fastest chargers yet. So you expect your phones to fill at about 40 minutes, within 40 minutes, using a
A
wireless
full
charger,
charge.
a full charge with a
Okay.
wireless charger, which is a big
Okay.
deal because
That's pretty neat.
iPhone hasn't gone above 25 watts, and this is 65 watts.
Hmm.
That's how I can compare at the moment.
Hmm.
But yeah, it takes about 2 hours to 2.5 hours for iPhone, but this is 40 minutes. So this is quite fascinating, I would say.
Interesting. Okay. So apart from the screen at the back and fast charging, what are the other standout features for the Xiaomi?
No, that's what I would say. Most of the features are something that you would find in all these phones.
Hmm.
And that's why this is the best part is that these phones, if especially OnePlus 9 Pro,
Hmm.
which is the exact same design S21, will be the base price
Hmm.
of whatever the ultra sorry the base price of S21 will be the highest price of OnePlus 9 Pro. So their highest model. The yeah. So what I'm trying to say is
I have no idea what you're saying.
so what I'm trying to say is the base
Okay.
model of
Imagine I'm a
S21.
70-year-old and now explain it to me like that.
Okay, there were four models released by S21.
Yes.
Okay, the S21 Ultra has to be the most expensive one, and the
Hmm.
S21 E or Lite, whatever comes out, has to be the cheapest one.
Hmm.
So the cheapest one of that model
Hmm.
is the most expensive one in OnePlus category if they release models or four
Okay.
phones of same models for OnePlus 9, OnePlus 9 Lite, OnePlus 9 Pro. So OnePlus
Okay.
9 Pro would be the same price as the base price of Samsung S21 series.
So Samsung
Why?
cheapest is OnePlus is most expensive, right?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
exactly,
So we are
exactly.
on the
Yeah,
same
yeah, yeah,
page.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
You are right. You're absolutely right.
cool.
So that's the best part. You have all the features that you can expect from a phone with the price
Hmm.
of the base price of the top most competitors that are going on in the current market, which is why these phones like Xiaomi and all are becoming top
Hmm.
smartphone makers in the
They
world.
are getting a lot of market share. And see, that's one of the things I've always liked about OnePlus. That even back when they first came out, like OnePlus One, OnePlus Two, they provided you top tier features in a much cheaper bracket
Yeah,
of phones, and that is something I have really admired about OnePlus always. I don't know how long that's going to stay now because initially they were $500, $600 phones. Now even they have climbed up to $800.
exactly.
So I
Yeah,
know they're slowly creeping up to Samsungs and Googles and Apples.
yeah. I mean, but yeah, it's still way cheaper compared to them.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
So one more thing that happened was the Snyder Cut that got released. The
Yes.
Justice League Snyder Cut. Now you have watched the first movie. What was
Unfortunately,
your
yes.
take on it?
So before I get to that, let me just tell you, I really respect DC more than
Mhm.
Marvel, mostly
Okay.
because of Batman and Christopher Nolan's Batman at that,
Okay.
right?
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
I've,
That's
I've
the
been
only reason I would say fair enough.
yeah,
Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale.
I've been a big DC fan since then, and that was also the time I discovered that DC was something. Anyway, so
So
comics were not a huge thing
we
in
are not
Saudi, right?
from, yeah, we are not
Yeah,
from comic books. We don't have comic books
comics
background.
was
We are
not a thing
just
in Saudi.
based on movies. Yeah.
The only time we found that Marvel was something other than a movie title was when Avengers first came out in 2012, at
Yeah,
least for
yeah.
me. Yeah. Anyway, so I had high expectations going in because contrary to what a lot of people said, I really liked how Ben Affleck played Batman in Batman versus Superman. The movie was different. I liked how he played an aging Batman.
Okay, wait. Oh, how did you find Lex Luthor?
It was
Jesse
it was
Eisenberg.
hit and miss. Like Jesse Eisenberg is a really good actor, I think. Okay. And
Yeah.
I think in some parts he did a really good job. In the other parts, it just reminded me of Shah Rukh Khan from
I think
different
he
movies.
reminded me of Zuckerberg rather than from Social Network rather than anything else of his character.
So anyway, yeah. So I really like the way Ben Affleck played Batman. So I was expecting a lot, and I also like the first Wonder Woman, but the movie was a mess. It was
Yeah.
like they and after like I haven't seen the second part yet, but based on what I've been reading in reviews, they picked a very very small version or very condensed version of the full movie, and they released it just to make sure they can maximize the number of shows and everything else that was
And
going
you're
on.
talking about Justice League or Batman versus Superman?
Justice League. I'm talking
Justice
about
League.
Justice League. Yeah, it
So
was a
that was by Joss Whedon, the director who was
yeah, it was
hired.
a very very poorly executed film. Like
So yeah, there
I
was a
was still
story behind it, right? I mean, like, well, what happened was Snyder had a tragedy, right?
yeah, he had a family
Um,
tragedy.
yeah, he had a family tragedy, and he had to go, and he was replaced by Josh Whedon, who
Hmm.
was supposed to make the rest of the cuts and the visual effects and whatnot.
Hmm.
And apparently, it was said that he cut 45 minutes of the movie
Hmm.
and created what I felt after watching that movie is that Superman is everything. Without him, there's nothing. There's no teamwork or anything.
Hmm.
Okay, every superhero is useless, but Superman is the most important one,
Hmm.
which might be the case. But
And
then
of course, the
when you watch
CGI mustache.
Avengers, yeah, but when you watch Avengers, you see Iron Man is the man, but you see the whole teamwork and everything, isn't it?
Hmm.
And that was
Hmm.
the purpose of that movie too, but it didn't feel that way.
Okay.
Way it was cut and whatnot. But the first theatrical cut I'm talking about. But then the fans were and the critics and all were really behind the Snyder's cut. They didn't even know it
Hmm.
existed.
Hmm.
Okay, it was just a speculation that it existed, and there are scenes that have been removed and whatnot. And then eventually, because it wasn't sure, but there was petitions and everything, and then Warner Bros. Eventually decided that they will release the Snyder's cut,
Hmm.
which required $70 million to reproduce. Now tell me, why $70 million? What the hell?
I mean, I guess I don't know if they did a lot of reshoots for it. I wasn't following that completely. I know the Twitter trend that was going on when people wanted to try and remake the cut. I didn't know it took 70 million to
It
redo the
is.
thing. But I mean, at least they're making the money back now because this version of Justice League is very well received as
Did
opposed to
you
the
watch
last
it
one.
though?
I haven't. I'm planning to watch it. It's just
I
that it's
did
four
watch it.
hours. You did? Okay.
Yeah, I watched it
How did you
last
find it?
weekend, Easter weekend.
How did you find it?
I did find it quite fascinating. I mean, like, okay, you've watched Justice League. It's again Justice League, but it feels like the characters are more developed.
Yeah, because they've added information and
Yeah,
given
yeah,
every character proper time,
exactly. Which
which is
is
what was
why now
needed.
it feels more like, okay, this was the um so this character was doing this character was doing that. For example, everyone contributed equally. That's my point when I'm saying that. So Superman
Mm,
wasn't feeling like he was the only one. But with
mm,
developed characters, I think that approach was just better because we have seen Superman in Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, and but we
mm.
did not have any introduction to these new characters.
No,
I
no,
guess.
yeah, you're absolutely right. I think a friend of mine just put it very well. So she said that it was like somebody ripped a book apart and took out most of the chapters, and you were given a very thin book. And this is somebody just giving you the proper book, and now you have
Yeah,
the whole information of what's
yeah.
going
Then
on.
yeah, in that way, I would say it is good. I mean, it is worth watching at least once.
The only My only problem is right now. I think about 4 hours, and I'm like, okay, I have to sit through
I
four
mean, you
hours.
just gotta start. I mean, like I thought that okay, so it's fucking bloody 4 hours, isn't it?
Hmm.
But then when you start, it just gets you. You don't realize it's 4 hours. Literally, I didn't realize it
I'm
was 4 hours.
I'm gonna watch this one, and then we'll talk about it more.
Yeah. I
But
think
yeah,
that's end of part one. What do you
yep.
think?
Yeah, I think this is a good stopping point. That's it for this part, guys. We really hope you enjoyed this conversation. We keep the conversation going. So see you in the second part.